This is your October 13th second stimulus package and stimulus update, including we're going to talk about some unemployment benefit updates, the LWA, and what's going on in Washington. Are we any closer to getting that stimulus package passed and getting stimulus checks sent to us? That information coming up. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome to my channel. This is called The Late Night Grind. It's a brand new YouTube channel and I'd actually really appreciate it if you would do me a favor, hit that subscribe button below and subscribe to The Late Night Grind channel. Right now I am covering stimulus package updates. It's a topic that interests me greatly. Also, don't forget to hit that like button below. That really helps out with the YouTube algorithm, helps smaller channels like mine thrive, and really make it worth it to put in all the effort and all the research that I do for these videos. So first, just to give some basic stimulus package update news, it seems like Washington's just kind of at a deadlock in terms of Republicans, Steve Mnuchin, and Mark Meadows, as well as Democrat Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, basically just not agreeing on anything. Whatever proposal the other side puts out, the other side finds a million things wrong with, and there's really no agreements. But the one thing I want to look at is how close that we really are to actually getting an agreement done. If you look a couple of months ago, and they've been talking for this second round of stimulus for a good 4 or 5 months now, especially the last 2 months, seriously. And when the Democrats first put out their proposal, it was in the $3 trillion range, $3.5 trillion, I believe. The Republicans put out their proposal, which was around 1.4, 1.5 trillion, I believe. When the other side took a look at it, they basically just said, no, it's a non-starter. It's never going to happen. There's too many things that Nancy Pelosi was saying. There's too many things that just are not covered that they want covered. On the Republican side, they just said, no, there's way too much money being spent for things that really we're just trying to provide some stimulus for the economy and some relief for the American people, especially for those whose industries have been locked down, shut down, and are just continuing to hurt. So as we stand right now, they're discussing a proposal that the Republicans actually put out a couple of days ago. It's right around $1.8 trillion, and that package also includes the $1,200 stimulus checks out to the people, as well as money for dependents, unemployment, PPP money, and things like that. It's actually very comprehensive. Nancy Pelosi put out a letter this morning, as she's done the last 3 days in a row, basically bullet pointing everything that she feels it's not up to par. It's very inadequate in covering. I'm not going to go into the details of that letter, but basically she just said, nope, it's not enough. And the reason I'm actually talking about that is because when we look at a couple of months ago, how far apart the two parties were in terms of agreeing on a package, it was trillions of dollars apart. Now we're talking a couple hundred billions. The Republicans' $1.8 trillion package is the largest one they've actually put out to date, other than the first one that both parties agreed upon, which was about $2 trillion. And the Democrats had previously put out a proposal of about $2.2 trillion. So it seems like that gap is continuing to close. Discussions, typically when they get into more minute details, usually means you're getting closer to a deal. Just at least in terms of the business world and how contracts work, that's typically how it happens. So even though these talks look like they're playing politics, they look like they're stalled, and on the surface that's exactly what it looks like. And especially with an upcoming election, it can definitely look like that on the surface. And I actually think that we're actually getting closer to a deal being done. I know President Trump would love to get a deal out right around election time, especially with checks going out with his name on them. Continue to help the stock market, which has been doing fine kind of on its own, regardless of the true economic status and unemployment numbers. So having said all that, I actually do think we're getting closer. So what do the Democrats want? Well, they want increased unemployment benefits. They still want to stick to that $600 per week extra benefit boost that was passed with the first stimulus package and ran out in July. What they want is actually that benefit boost to continue through the end of the year, if not further, if needed. And here's another one, state and local funding. This has been a real sticking point that Democrats have been pushing really hard for, and most Republicans have kind of been against, or at least don't want to provide near as much as what the Democrats do. But in the Republicans' $1.8 trillion proposal, about $300 billion of that are actually earmarked for state and local authorities. The Democrats, their number is about $436 billion. Again, that number is continuing to get closer and closer together, which each of these with each of these proposals that the parties are putting out. The other reason I think we're pretty close too is that Donald Trump himself said he would sign this $1.8 trillion package as soon as Congress would pass it. Putting pressure on a lot of them. And also, the one thing I did want to point out about this package, some of the details that hasn't been getting a lot of talk, is actually it includes the $1,200 per person stimulus payment, but also the number that they are proposing giving for dependents or young children. Originally, a lot of the talks were around $500 per dependent, which include children, of course, with that stimulus payment. The $1.8 trillion package actually says $1,000 each for young children. My guess is, from some of the stuff that I've been reading and watching, is that if you have children or dependents under the age of 16, they may be eligible for a $1,000 payment rather than $500. If you have a dependent but they're over the age of 16 or at some cutoff age, they would still be eligible for the $500 payment. So that's something that I wanted to kind of talk about, and I'm really going to be digging deeper into to see if that's the case, because I think that's one of both sides would probably be okay with, because a lot of the sticking points that they're disagreeing on isn't necessarily the amount of money that they want to send out to the people. So that's it for today's update, guys. Again, I would appreciate if you hit that subscribe button and also smash that thumbs up button. I would really appreciate it. Again, this is Late Night Grind. It's a brand new channel. I'd really appreciate the support. And don't forget, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on these proposals that the government continues to put out, seemingly like every other week or at least every other month. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Do you think we're any closer to a deal? Do you think it's going to get done before the election? Is it most likely to be done after the election? There's a whole lot of opinions in there. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next video.